The red light is on.
So it is. Damn it. Quiet on set. Quiet on set.
Hello and welcome to the 10th episode of Cinema Decon, deconstructing and overthinking the movies of our younger years. My name is Steve, and on this podcast, we will revisit the movies that we keep in the back part of our minds as flawless masterpieces, untouchable by any criticism. And hopefully they stay that way. Join us as we rewatch a randomly selected movie from our list of 300 plus from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. With me on this journey is my co-host, a guy who always has what plants crave, Aaron. How are you tonight, Aaron?
I'm doing pretty good, Steve. This last week was a nice change of pace for me. I was able to go home over the Labor Day weekend back in lovely Wichita, Kansas, and see my family, which I haven't been able to do since last September because of the whole COVID thing. I usually try to get back at least once a year over Thanksgiving or Christmas, and it kind of killed it. So it was definitely a nice break from the normal day-to-day grind.
That's good. We got a chance to go up to see my wife's family, my in-laws in Pittsburgh. That was a good trip over Labor Day weekend. Yeah. If I'll say one thing about airline travel, it hasn't changed. Not at all.
No, other than having to wear a mask the entire time, everything else is the same.
Yeah, I'm not being facetious or anything. It was like identical, like nothing had changed at all. I guess I was expecting a little bit of, distancing or something, but no, the planes are planes and everybody's elbow to elbow and butt to nut.
Yep. Got to get that money, son. So what we do here at Cinema Decon is a rewatch of an old movie in the hopes that they're still as good as we remember them. Then Steve and I meet up, talk about it, point out our high and low parts, and give it a rank and place on our mega list.
Before we watch our target movie, we first record our memories and recollections of it. Then we proceed to go and watch said movie. So far, our memories have been both perfect and completely wrong at the same time. So this is episode 10, the big 1-0 milestone. Did you think we'd get this far?
While I had no doubt that we'd make this many episodes, considering how many separate conversations we've been able to have in the past solely on movie quotes, I never thought we'd be able to, or I never thought there would be this many people actually listening to us, considering how many of our coworkers and friends used to make fun of us for doing that all the time.
Make fun of us and then join in with their own opinions.
Also, yes. But yeah, the making fun of was definitely part A, and then part B was then possibly joining in or correcting us, or at least trying to correct us, because we are flawless.
Perfection is unattainable.
You're going to keep using that one, aren't you?
It's a great line. It is.
It is.
Nod to the gods, because he is found.
Also, a few items worthy of note is Cinema Decon has been featured on Podchaser's Top 60 Podcasts to Discover in September, which is pretty amazing. We feel very honored in here. That's kind of one of the first big call-outs that we've had. So thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely honored to be on there. There's a lot of good podcasts on there, and all of them worth a listen. Several of them are friends of ours in the podcasting pod nation, but ours first. Make sure you go to ours first. Yes. And on that note, we also have a few nominations for the Discover Pod Awards 2021. And if anyone out there wants to help the show, please give us a vote in either the new show category or the TV and movies category. We'd appreciate it. I don't think you don't really get anything for it. You just kind of congratulations, but it'd be nice. I think it'd be pretty cool.
It would be very cool. And also voting for us in any other category would also be nice, but would make absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, we're not really on the true crime and
just wait till we get to LA Confidential or the Black Dahlia or something like that.
We will put links to both the Discover Pod Awards and the Top 60 Podcasts to Discover in September in the show notes, so feel free to check those out. Today's movie is the 2006 cult classic Idiocracy, directed by Mike Judge, written by Mike Judge and Ethan Cohen, starring Luke Wilson, Maya Rudolph, Dax Shepard, and Terry Crews.
This week's episode is brought to you by Carl's Jr. Extra big ass fries, because they pay me every time I say it, and I like money.
I was afraid it was this episode. This episode was brought to you by buttfuckers.
You know, as soon as you said as soon as you made the joke about us getting sued, I was like, well, shit, what can I do? Buttfuckers? It's the only one that's not real. Brondo. The thirst mutilator.
Thirst mutilator. So, Aaron, what are your recollections of Idiocracy?
Oh, man. So I do remember when it first came out, I knew nothing about it other than the fact that it was made by Mike Judge, the genius behind the wonderful duo of Beavis and Butthead and Office Space. I wasn't sure what to expect. And it is honestly one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. It's also one of those movies you can classify, like I'm sure we've said before, that it was a comedy that turned into a documentary. It's kind of a warning tale for what what life can and possibly will be like 500 years from now. To me, I was more a fan of like the supporting characters on here, like Dax Shepard. To me, I don't have anything specifically against Luke Wilson. He's just kind of monotone.
Well, I think that was the point. He was,
and that's
he was the regular guy. Yeah,
he's you know, when people tell me to lead, follow, or get out of the way, I got out of the way. They're like, what? It's not what you're supposed to do. It's supposed to guilt you into leading or at least following. But then between Dax Shepard and what's the girl's name? That's from
Maya Rudolph.
What was her name?
It's Maya Rudolph.
Maya Rudolph. Thank you. Yeah, an upgrade with 2 Ds. Upgrade 2 Ds for a double dose of his pimping action. But there's so many good cameos in here, like Justin Long as the doctor, and then I can't remember the guy, the Costco guy. Welcome to Costco. I love you.
It's really the same for me, though. I knew of obviously Beavis and Butthead and Office Space. By this point, we're already well cemented as immensely influential in our lives.
Yes,
and you knew that Idiocracy was from the same guy, Mike Judge. You heard all kinds of rumors about how it was not promoted or not marketed. The studios didn't want it, and it kind of just faded out. Like, I never saw it in theaters. It was never there. I ended up seeing this overseas. I was in Afghanistan, and it was on the shared hard drive, and it was like, holy shit, this is hilarious. It was immensely prophetic, with not necessarily hand jobs at Starbucks, but
full frontal hand jobs. Yeah. It was full frontal lattes.
It's like this hospital sponsored by Carl's Jr. or something. It's just,
you are an unfit mother. Your children are now in the custody of Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr. But yeah, being prior service, you got the Army guy at the beginning. He's like, man, I feel for this guy.
Yeah.
And then I hate to say documentary like you did, but it does kind of feel that way at times when you've got people in charge and you're like, what in the hell are they thinking? And then you see this movie, it's like, this makes sense. This does make a bit of sense.
Whole concept at the beginning, they lay out, he does like the little voiceover of how things happen and basically how like humans.
Yeah. How humans replicate. Yeah.
Human beings no longer conform to the concept of survival of the fittest. It's now survival of whoever fornicates the most.
Yeah, that opening intro where you've got I'd say the privileged couple. They've got money, they've got their resources, and then you've got
we're waiting to have children.
Yeah,
we're gonna wait. We have our jobs. We're doing very well, and then it flashes to the football player who scores the big touchdown. Goes to the cheerleaders. Well, fuck all of y'all.
And you got the 2 family trees side by side. One that's just stagnant. The other one's like pop 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 pop. And not to give away the ending or whatever, but it's just common sense ends up kind of winning the day. But it's just, man, this movie's going to be hard to explain when we actually do the review.
Yeah, if we keep doing this, we're basically going to review the entire movie right now. So
it's been a while. There's going to be a lot of jokes in there that I don't remember. It's
Oh,
because
I hope so, because I want to laugh my ass off again, because I haven't seen it in quite a while.
it's another movie I can't watch with the kids.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one though. This one's going to be fun.
Oh yes.
So we will go off and watch Idiocracy.
Go away, biting.
What's that show called? Oh My Nuts or
My Nuts, yeah.
Or
My Balls.
Oh My Balls.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look. The plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Oh, well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah. So let's go back.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem, I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
And we're back. We need to get this post-watch get going before Aaron and I ruin the whole thing just chatting. And quoting lines. And
we totally knew this was going to happen.
We did, yeah. I mean, our pre-watch was more or less 100% correct. We've seen this movie way too many times.
Or not enough.
But it was a wonderful revisit, and I'm so glad this movie came up. It's hard to find anything wrong with it.
Nope. I have a special section in all my notes for problems I noticed in the movie, and I couldn't find one, in all honesty. This movie is a total
I have
gem.
questions, but not problems.
Exactly.
It questions in the vein of, I want more.
Yeah.
I want to know more about the universe. I want to know how things work.
Yeah. Idiocracy 2, The Reckoning.
when the bots go wrong, how do all these things of technology function?
Your floor is clean.
Yeah, it's glad to see Roombas haven't improved in 500 years. So to get going in our play-by-play of the movie, we've got the fantastic intro scene of two families that show human evolution and how things are going.
Yeah, it's this nice little overly monologue about the rules like Darwinism and evolution and how survival of the strongest, smartest, fastest were replaced with the beings that reproduce the most, since the humans have no natural predators, which I cannot fault that logic.
No, that's what's scary and funny, is that the logic is sound. It truly is. Did you catch who the voiceover guy is through the whole movie?
No.
It's Earl Mann, the voice of NFL films.
Oh, nice. Meanwhile.
So you got Trevor and Carol on one side with they have high IQs.
Yes.
And they're basing their family reproduction on the market and is it the right time?
And the economy and their busy schedules. And then you have Cleavon, which is basing his family development decisions on his little brain, basically. And that's it.
So you got Cleavon and Trish and Brittany and Mackenzie.
All right, good. You got the names. I didn't even think
I got the names for Cleavon, but not Cleavon Jr.
No, there were two. You know how many times we'd had to pause the screen just to write all that down? So it has, when Cleavon shows up, it has this nice little drawing of a family tree, which starts out simple enough with Cleavon and his, I'm assuming, wife or girlfriend. And then Brittany comes in, who he accidentally calls out her name. He's like, damn, I must have been thinking about Brittany. And then she pops up the thing.
Brittany? Who's Brittany?
Who the hell's Brittany? Which is a weird response, because we learn in the next scene that Brittany is the next door neighbor. So what do you mean, who is Brittany? The woman that lives next door. So one can only assume that she moved next door afterwards, which is just all sorts of all sorts of awkward in itself. And those two get into a fight, throwing things at each other at their screen doors from right next door to each other in the trailer park.
And is it Cleavon or Cleavon Jr. who gets in the accident, but yet the doctor says, "Don't worry, he can still reproduce."
Yeah, he tried jumping a jet ski into a swimming pool and impaled his crotch on a steel pole in the fence pole or something. But don't worry, thanks to medical enhancements, his reproductive system is still intact. And then like 5 other babies pop up on the family tree.
Yeah, he survives and can reproduce after that, but yet poor Trevor dies while masturbating.
And then we're left with Carol sitting there explaining the whole thing, but she throws some eggs. So as soon as the right guy comes along, which of course obviously means he never came along.
No.
The funnier one was when they were talking about, well, we can't have children in this economy with the market and everything. And then it flashes to Cleavon Jr., who just won the football game, surrounded by like 5 or 6 cheerleaders. And he's just, I'm going to fuck all of y'all. And then 5 new names and 5 new babies pop up in the tree. Once you pop, you can't stop.
Yeah, the intro ends with the whole screen filled with the Cleavon family tree. And I'm sure there's some Easter eggs in there if someone were to screenshot it.
Yeah, if we really wanted to screenshot it.
If there's some interesting ones in there, be sure and let us know.
Yeah.
It fades into the opening scene of a Army base near Washington, D.C., where we meet Army librarian Joe Bauers, who pretty much sits on his ass all day doing absolutely nothing.
We get in on him, and he's literally sitting at his desk in the room that nobody goes to, watching Cops on a TV in his desk drawer. When his boss comes down with a new replacement.
Did you catch who the replacement was?
No, I didn't recognize him.
It's a young Shia LaBeouf. LaBeouf. How are you saying his name?
Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
LaBeouf. Huh. LaBeouf. Wow, this movie is old. This movie is old.
I don't know. He has no speaking parts. He just kind of stands there and he laughs when because Joe Bauers argues with the guy and says, don't I need to train him?
I'm pretty sure he can sit on his ass and watch TV all by himself.
But this is where we get the first line of the lead, follow, and get out of the way. It's like they're supposed to scare you into at least leading or following.
Yeah, leading or at least following.
This is my first question and based on my Army experience, how in the hell did Joe Bauers make corporal? That's not automatic.
It's got to be a quota.
There's a little bit of paperwork involved there to get the corporal.
Technically, he was doing his job. His job just was nothing.
A corporal's an NCO. He should have at least one person under.
But a corporal was only an NCO in the Marines.
No,
am I wrong?
Corporal. It's still an E4.
What am I thinking?
It's still an E4. So there's E4 specialist and E4 corporal. Corporal's an NCO. So he should have at least one person under him, some sort of leadership. But a corporal, and I'm sorry for all the corporals out there, but it is the bitch NCO. So they're the ones that get tasked with all the crappy jobs as soon as they get pinned.
All right. For those of you with the hate mail, it's Steve at cinemadecon.com, not Aaron. Mm-hmm. He said it, not me.
Staff Sergeant Steve. So, I'll pull rank on any corporals that get angry at that.
Throw out that coin, boy. Did you just... Oh, put it back in the deck.
Don't make me get my coins.
So this is where we learn that Mr. Corporal Joe Bauers has been chosen by, and I didn't get Mike Judge. Basically, I have him written in here as Mike Judge. I never got
It's not Mike Judge.
Character's name.
It's not Mike
Judge.
No. Mike Judge makes a cameo later as one of the announcers for rehabilitation. But no, that's not Mike Judge.
That was Mike Judge. I guess I should have looked that up. All this time, I assumed that was Mike Judge.
Unless it's him in like makeup and a pseudonym, but it's somebody else credited for the role.
Okay, never mind.
But yeah, so there's I think he's a captain or a major. I don't remember, but he's briefing Army higher ups on a top secret project to hibernate a human for an indefinite amount of time. And Joe has been selected as the trial to hibernate someone for 1 year.
Yeah. So the theory behind it was they could take their best and brightest and freeze them in their prime so that they could awaken them when they're needed most. For the test, however, he reiterates that Joe is not their best and brightest, that he was selected because he's completely average. And he starts going through this slideshow showing line graphs and everything where Joe is in the average field on every single criteria.
And also, just as with the opening scene, the logic is sound, is something the Army would do.
Yeah,
it probably is.
From a scientific method, yeah.
So Joe is the perfect soldier for this, but unfortunately they could not find a female soldier that fit that particular level of average without any family. So they had to go to the private sector.
Meet Rita. And it just flashes to a streetwalker picture of her leaning over a car. I'm like, oh, Rita.
And then the rest of the slides are dedicated to Upgrade, spelled with a double D for his double dose of pimping.
Yeah. So they had to basically pay off Upgrade for him to allow Rita to do this. He also had to give Rita, get rid of Rita's legal troubles, and then promise Upgrade some skirting of certain laws. And in order to do that, he had to gain his trust. For you see,
go ahead.
The quote, Han. I'm looking for it. For you see, a pimp's love is very different than that of a square. So he starts going through this slideshow of him literally partying with Upgrade and all of his hoes, to which he's prompted, can we skip the logistics? So he's like, sure, fine. So he starts clicking through. Probably, and it's obvious that 90% of his PowerPoint slide at this point is party pictures of him, Upgrade, and the hookers. And he just keeps clicking.
So, bit of trivia there. Upgrade is played by Scarface, the rapper.
Oh, yeah.
Who was part of the Ghetto Boys, who did most of the soundtrack for Office Space.
Yeah.
Damn it feels good to be a gangster.
Great song.
I read somewhere, I should have noted it, but the double dose of pimpin' and the pimp's love is different than that of a square are actual lyrics from something. those were pulled from a song, and I don't know who did it or whatever, but they are pulled from somewhere. Pretty perfectly, too.
The delivery by the military guy, though, was probably much better.
So Joe and Rita, next scene, are being prepped for their experiment. This is where we get to see how Joe's pretty much an idiot. Because an idiot in this timeline, because he is not picking up on a damn thing that Rita's saying.
No.
Despite her ghetto speak of painting and shit.
Yeah. I do a little this, little that. Oh, I'd love to be able to get by just doing a little this, a little that. Buddy of mine used to make chainsaw sculptures and sell them at the food mart or something.
Yeah. So Rita tells him she's an artist. Yeah, he thinks she's an artist. Yeah, I'm an artist. So she talks like that meet me outside, how about now, girl?
Oh,
from
the
talk show. Yeah.
Cash me outside.
That's what it is.
And let's not give her any more media attention at this point because she's kind of died out.
Yeah, thankfully. Yeah. So, but then as they're, I don't want to say the full quote, but the Army guy who was in deep with Upgrade, he comes on and what's up my N-words? It just shows how stupid he is.
Yeah. And obviously how much time he spent partying with Upgrade.
But that does lead right into a great montage of the passing of time and what happens to that particular project and Army officer. Kind of gets what's coming to him. The Army officer is arrested for all the things he did with Upgrade, and it shows him with a gold tooth and
basically running his own prostitution ring.
That's it. Yeah. And then that cascades into the whole base being closed down, bulldozed, future site of Fuddruckers.
Yeah, everybody basically forgets about the project. Upgrade even gets a double dose of incarceration. And then we go back into the montage of how everything was lost. Something about like the greatest minds probably could have fixed a lot of the problems that were happening over the years, but they were more focused on hair loss and erectile dysfunction.
Voiceover in a movie can often be distracting and pointless, but Earl Mann, and just because he speaks over several points of the movie to give everyone the background, and it's done very well.
I agree.
Without the voiceover, it wouldn't be as funny, really, because he's serious. He's got that wonderful monotone narrator voice, and it really helps paint the picture, especially when he starts talking about the future.
Yeah, he definitely makes it sound more like a documentary that you're watching instead of a comedy, which that's kind of one of the points to this. So we start seeing the decline. Yeah, we start seeing screenshots of the Fuddruckers that's built on the site over the years. You'll get like a half fade in timeline of the
years going up, but the IQ going down.
The IQ is going down, and then it'll flash to the Fuddruckers keeps getting renamed. So it was like Buttruckers for a while.
Did you list all the names at all? I didn't.
I did not catch all those. No. It was finally ended up as Buttfuckers. And this all culminates in the year 2505. So this is 500 years.
The Great Garbage Avalanche of 2505.
So yeah, because one of the main problems that they were saying is by around that time, human beings had completely forgot how to dispose of garbage. So they just kept piling it higher and higher, which led to this avalanche, which forever changed the future and started the movie.
Yeah, the avalanche, whatever pile of garbage that was, happened to have Joe's casket or container wherever he was being held. Pod. Yeah, there you go. Pod. It had his pod in it, and it cascades all the way down, and he ends up crashing into an apartment owned by Frito Pendejo, and he is uniced and very confused.
Yeah. So like when it crashes, my funniest part was like when it crashes through the window and all the garbage spills out, Frito, played by Dax Shepard, is sitting there watching his what looks to be 100-inch TV, but with all the ads that are circling around it, it effectively makes it like a 40-inch TV that he's watching because there's all these crazy-ass ads in it, including an ad for Buttfuckers, Nask tea, quietly refreshing with a rough punch, Carl's Jr., who states, if you've got $10 million, we'll deliver to your fat ass, beer online, 12-pack a day keeps the doctor away, a TJ Fridays logo that's been changed to TJ O Hand Jobs.
I missed that one.
the wonderful Brondo, the thirst mutilator, H&R Block offering an adult tax return, and the Masturbation Network, keeping America baiting for 300 years.
There was also flat urine, which I don't know what that is supposed to be for.
There were a couple of them I couldn't read.
Yeah, there was flat urine. It was weird because the flat urine is one you see in the background on like buckets and stuff. I don't even really want to know. Frito is watching the TV show Oh My Balls.
Yeah, he's watching it on the Violence Channel. And then when he crashes in, Frito's basically treats it like somebody knocked on the door. He's like, hold on.
He doesn't care that his apartment has just been, trashed. All he cares about is that his show was interrupted.
Because he's in the middle of watching, what was it, Oh My Balls, starring Hormel Chavez. I don't know if you noticed, but so many of the first names of people in this are company names. There's like a guy named Velveeta. There's a chick named Velveeta at one point. I didn't write them all down because it would have just taken forever to keep pausing to write things down. But my favorite, Hormel was the big one.
Yeah, Dr. Lexus.
Oh, yeah. So he's sitting there eating what appears to be nacho cheese from a giant, like KFC-sized tub when Joe's pod starts to open up. And he keeps shushing him like, God damn it, leave me alone. I'm watching my show. He finally gets up from his chair, which we find out has a toilet built into it. As soon as he stands up, it flushes. He just grabs Joe and throws him back out the window, and it makes him slide down the thing of garbage and goes back to watching his show.
Yeah, Joe. So he's tossed out of the apartment, and then he stands up and he starts to kind of get some clarity of what the hell's going on. He's looking around, and the voiceover comes back, and voiceover narrates what Joe is doing. He's trying to talk to people. He's trying to figure out where he is, where's the army base, but because language has changed so much in 500 years, it's become a mixture of like slang and
hillbilly, valley girl, inner city slang, and various grunts. And he could understand them, but when he talked normally, they all took it as sounding really pompous. And I am quoting the movie here. Don't hate, faggy.
Yeah, they use two words often, which and say don't hate it. We're just quoting the movie: faggy and retarded. Yeah. And I think because even when this movie was made, those words were not acceptable. When this movie was made,
yeah.
So I think that is part of the joke.
Yeah,
as in
that we've regressed to nobody cares
yes.
if those words. Yeah,
yeah. So when we say those words in these contexts, that's part of the movie and part of the joke of the movie. Watch the movie, please.
Yeah. So Joe, of course, has no idea what has happened. He thinks it's been a year for all he knows. Mm-hmm. The first thing he sees is the butt fuckers. Sure. And he looks in the window and there's a children's party. And then he looks back up and sees the sign and it just reads butt fucker. And he's like, what the hell is going on? He keeps walking around for a little bit. He tries to talk to people. And this is during the voiceover, which explains the language barrier. And he looks over and he sees this giant hospital that says St. God's Memorial Hospital.
I love that.
And the sign has been made too big to where they ran out of space for the word hospital, and they started wrapping it downward.
Wrapping it down. St. God's.
St. God's Memorial Hospital. So he walks into the hospital thinking there's something wrong with him. First thing he notices, all the slot machines on the side.
Win free medical health care.
I missed that one, but nice.
That's what's on the slot machines.
He goes up to the receptionist.
We're probably not too far off from that.
Yeah, give it time. Walks up to the receptionist and starts trying to explain how he's feeling. Like he thinks there's something wrong with his head because things are all looking weird and everything. She looks completely blitzed.
Yeah, she does.
She slowly looks over at him, and as he's explaining the things, there's a keyboard in front of her with buttons with pictures. Like think of, and nothing against anybody that works at McDonald's, but this is like the keyboards that they have on or at least had on the registers at McDonald's that had pictures of the food instead of the words, kind of thing, to try to be able to allow the lowest common denominator. So
they've got pictures for like a guy with a gun to his head. There's an icon of like a girl delivering a baby,
or literally a baby dropping out of a girl. Yeah. But she keeps hovering over as he says key words, and he finally says, "I just don't know where I am." So she finally goes over to the picture of a stick figure with a bunch of question marks, like doing the. So she hits that, and then the computer says, "Please go to room so and so."
Please go to the diagnostic area.
Yeah, which that's a horrible area too.
In the diagnostic area was that'd be a horrible experience in itself.
I mean, at this point, before he does that, he goes over to the water fountain, tries to get a drink, and it comes out like this green color. He's like, he asks somebody, it's like, hey, I think this fountain has Gatorade in it. Do you know where I can just get some water? Which starts the running joke of what, like from the toilet?
Do you know that guy was a doctor too?
Yes.
Yeah. Then he goes to this diagnostic area, which is a little archway with various diseases on the top, like you've won.
You have leukemia. Oh, is someone having a bad day?
Guy hands a whole bunch of like dongles. It's like, this one goes in your mouth, this one goes in your ear, this one goes in your ass. And once he starts putting them in his mouth and stuff, oh no, wait. And he mixes them all up.
Yeah, the machine goes, and he's like, oh wait. He grabs them out and he starts like literally 3-card monting him in his hand. This one goes in your mouth. This one goes in your butt.
I'm not a huge Luke Wilson fan and all, but I did love his facial expressions there. As
Yes,
he was genuinely concerned.
Because the next scene is him just running back to the Brondo fountain and rinsing his mouth out. So you have to think that he went ahead and did it.
Oh yeah. Because then good old Dr. Lexus, Justin Long, in a fantastic performance, he comes in. He's hey man, so your stuff says you're all fucked up. Kick ass.
Don't want to sound like a dick, but I got your chart here and it says you're fucked up. You talk like a fag and your shit's all fucked up. And it also says you're retarded. Don't worry though, plenty of tards out there living kick-ass lives.
My wife's a tard and she's a pilot.
She's a pilot.
Which is scary in itself that there's pilots in this world.
Which we see a couple times with planes. Particularly the 2 planes I remember seeing in this movie, both crash.
Yeah.
One was already crashed and one was crashed by the cops, but we'll get to that. Yeah. But this is about the time where Joe, as he's talking to him, looks down and sees a magazine. I don't remember what it was, but it gives the date as March 2505. And he kind of writes it off for a second. He's like, wow, that's a really odd typo. So then Justin Long finally prints out his receipt of how much he has to pay for this visit that gave him absolutely no help. And it had the exact same date on it. So this is when he starts putting things together in his head. Fortunately, this is also when Justin Long realizes he doesn't have this barcode tattooed on the inside of his left arm. He's like, whoa, where's your, why not you have barcode? Like he starts speaking weird too. Why not have you barcode? Oh, unscannable.
I want to know why he was so terrified when someone's unscannable. I mean, he was generally scared.
He's the daywalker, man.
But Joe actually walks over to the window while Dr. Lexus is flipping out, and he sees the state of the city right now. You got a couple of skyscrapers that are like duct taped together,
tethered together.
Yeah. There's like interstates that go nowhere, and you got cars crashing off of them.
You got cars just continuously driving off of them.
And the piles of garbage.
Great little portrayal. That was a great little portrait of the city.
So Joe leaves the doctor's office and he starts roaming the streets, and we get another voiceover, and it tells us a little more about the day of the age that he's
2505,
in. Yeah, how and it flashes to some cool scenes of the clock tower is flashing 12 digitally.
12.
We get to see that the number one movie, the number one movie in America is called Ass, and it won 8 Oscars, including Best Screenplay.
Yeah, it's literally 90 minutes of a bare ass farting on screen. So apparently at this point he actually went into a theater because it shows him in the theater watching it.
I got to think that's a Mike Judge kind of dig at the film industry, especially considering the speech at the end of the movie when he talks about, there can be a day again when you watch a film and you want to know whose ass it is and why it's farting. I got to think, I mean, that's too smart of dialogue to just be a random ass joke. That's got to be a dig at the movie industry.
Yeah.
And then we get to the Carl's Jr. kiosk. Yeah,
this lady's trying to order Carl's Jr. With an extra order of extra big ass fries from this. It's basically ATM, and unfortunately, she doesn't have any money. So she starts getting mad and like hitting the machine, like, "God damn it, give me my food!" To which it sprays some kind of gas on her, which mellows her out. But at this point, Carl's Jr. has decided that because she is broke, her children are starving. She is an unfit mother. And her children will be placed in the care of Carl's Jr.
You are an unfit mother.
So she drops like her bag of the one piece of food that she did get and wanders away because she's now in this weird daze. So Joe goes over to pick it up to see if there's any food in it. And about this time, the cops come by immediately looking for the unfit mother. Sir, are you the unfit mother? And he's like, whoa, that wasn't me. And as he brings his hands up, They also see that he doesn't have the barcode on the inside of his wrist. He's like, okay, sir, you are an unscannable. And they like, two guys come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
One of them tackles him. The other one completely misses him. It looked like a football play. It looked like a football tackle. And they throw him in the car. And anytime he tries to talk, the guy in the front turns around and pepper sprays him.
Mm-hmm.
Because they go to the trial first, right?
Next scene is court, where you've got Stephen Root as the judge. Great one scene for him.
I forgot he was in this with the hair too. He's got like the devil horns because his what was he? He's the Honorable Judge Hector the Hangman.
Doing a crazy Southern accent. What you be objectifying about?
Yeah, it's like why prostitution. Why do you think he done it?
I love the prosecuting attorney. He was great.
First of all, look at him. And everybody starts laughing. Second of all, we got like all this evidence and stuff. But seriously, judge should be like, guilty. And then everybody starts cheering. Peace.
Peace.
And then at this
Frito.
Point,
Frito's his lawyer.
Frito is his court-appointed lawyer. Shows up. Frito does him no help. Because like while the prosecution's talking, Frito would chime in and agree with him.
He's like, says here you robbed the hospital. Why'd you do that? I didn't.
You're supposed to be my lawyer. I object. What you'd be objected to? I object that before this guy robbed the hospital, he also broke into my apartment and then made me miss my favorite show, On My Balls.
So Joe gets convicted, gets sent to prison. But before we see him in jail, we get to see that Rita is also awake and roaming the streets. And she finds out that the oldest living profession is still active and going strong.
And a hell of a lot easier when everyone around you are idiots. She's literally dragging a guy around and making him pay by the hour while she makes him wait. So he's just sitting there with money. He's like, man, how much longer can I wait? It's like, could you wait a day? He's like, man, I could wait 2 days. He's like, oh, okay. Takes his money.
Like, that's good because I pay by the hour, young man.
Yeah, you're still on the clock. So we know that she's up and she didn't have a immediate run-in with the law like Joe did. Then we get back to
she goes to make a phone call. She goes to make a phone call. There are 9,000 listings for upgrade.
Yeah. What was it? 9,726.
And then she has to pay a $2,000 deposit to make a phone call on the AOL, Time Warner, Taco Bell, U.S. government long distance service. Yeah, it's during the phone call that when the her I don't know what's the word for a guy hitting on a prostitute. I don't know.
John Doe or John, I guess.
Or Johnny walks up. Yeah. So that's when that all happens. But she's got some money now, and then we'll check back in with her later. But we got to go back to Joe getting processed for jail.
But yeah, so we end up we go back to Joe is now being taken. Okay, sir, we're going to get you processed to get your tattoo, your ID tattoo, and your card. So they sit him down in front of this big ass machine that he has to stick his left hand in. The machine's like, please state your name as it appears on your federal document number AB23 or something like that. And he's like, well, I'm not sure I have one of those. And the computer, of course, picks up his name as not sure. First name, not, last name, sure.
I want to say this is a prophetic moment of the show because voice recognition is still shit 500 years in the future.
And the fact, and he basically it ends up confirming that his name is not sure, and it starts tattooing that on his arm. And while it's tattooing on his arm and causing pain that he wasn't expecting, it takes his picture. So he's got this really cringeworthy picture too. And then they go take him to get his IQ test so that they can place him in the best jail job.
Yeah, a great little aptitude test.
The dumbest questions in the world. Meanwhile, he's surrounded by these, for lack of a better term, complete idiots who can't do the square peg in the round hole game to the point where they're actually trying to hide their answers from him so he doesn't cheat off them.
Yeah, as he's getting led into jail, he's got his jumpsuit on now and he's walking towards prison. Something that popped out on me, and I realized it Joe is clean shaven throughout this entire movie, and so is almost everyone else. How is everyone clean shaven? Every single inmate.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust these people with razors. So I'm curious, how are these idiots shaving?
They've got to have some like automated thing where you sit down and it does it for you.
There's got to be
no human interaction.
But he comes up with an ingenious plan to break out of prison. As he's being led into prison, he goes to the guard. Yeah, I'm actually already been here, so I need to be leaving now. The guard hits him upside the head and goes, "Dumbass, you're supposed to be over there." So he pretty much talks his way out of the prison, and it makes a run for it. There's a nice scene as he's running out. You got 2 machine guns outside the prison that are just escape, and they start firing wildly in random directions, and then they shoot each other.
They're not even firing at him; they're firing in random directions, and they turn around and face each other and blow each other up.
As he's running away, did you notice the DeLorean?
No,
he runs past the DeLorean that's been like burnt up in a riot or something. It's just toast.
Oh, that's just sad.
But he runs all the way to Frito's apartment. Poor Frito gets interrupted again as he's watching another prophetic moment. Bang Tube, the masturbation network.
Go away, biting.
So Joe kind of grows a pair finally, and he starts talking tough a little bit. He threatens to get Frito disbarred if he doesn't help him, and gets his attention.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't understand disbarred.
He knew enough that it was a threat of some sort. Yeah, but then Frito somehow says there's a time machine.
Yeah, he's like, well, it's 500 years in the future. I'm sure they have a time machine by now. I'm fairly certain they were kind of working on something like that back in my time. And Frito's like, oh, yeah, I mean, there was a time machine. But it's, like, expensive. So he tries to talk him into it by giving him the old, well, how about this? If you take me to a time machine, I'll go back and I'll open up a savings account in your name so that it'll be worth a lot of money by this time. Which, of course, Frito wants exact numbers. So he's like, I don't know, how many billions? So he throws out, 10 billion? It's like, good luck. Time machine costs 20 billion. He's like, all right, 30 billion. And he's like, oh, whoa, then what's the minus of 30 and 20? 80 billion. That's how many billions.
I guess we can add inflation to the prophecy column there.
So he's starting to pick up that he can just make shit up, and people won't be able to call him on it. Unfortunately, as he was running to Frito's, he apparently got scanned by a Coke machine on the way. So the cops knock on Frito's door.
Yeah. So they make a run for it, and they get to Frito's car. They randomly find Rita, don't they? I mean, she's just kind of walking on the street.
They're just driving around, and they see her.
So they pick up Rita. Joe brings Rita up to speed as far as what the hell's going on. During that discussion, he accidentally gets scanned. Yeah, he holds his hand up and something scans him. And then in another prophetic moment, the government turns off his electric car.
Yeah.
That can happen now.
Yeah, it pops up on the car saying, you are harboring a fugitive. Release the fugitive now, kind of thing. And they keep driving, and of course it shuts off the car. So they get out, walk away. About 10 seconds later, tons of cops pull up and just start unloading.
Yeah, there's no announcement. There's no get out of the car. They just
walk up and start blowing
the hell out of it.
The one guy with the rocket launcher that launches it the wrong direction. Which of course takes out a plane. So that's the first plane. So you can see him, he fires it, looks around, turns it around, and as he's reloading to fire it again, you see the plane coming down in the background. Jesus. Meanwhile, all this time, as soon as Rita learned it's been 500 years, she starts freaking out because Upgrade is going to be pissed at her because he's going to want his money. So she's not grasping the whole concept of Upgrade's not going to follow you 500 years in the future.
Yeah, she's not the brightest bulb either.
And by the way, maybe you should not date somebody that's also your manager. So where she looks at him,
he
and
helps
she
me
remembers.
Sell my paintings and shit.
Yeah.
So they make their way to Costco, which is where the time machine is located.
Before that, there's a funny little scene where they're wandering through like the wasteland of all the broken down highways and stuff, and he's walking in, and Joe's like, man, I could really go for a Starbucks. To which Frito turns around and it's like, I really don't think we have time for a hand job right now, Joe. Which doesn't make sense to us yet, but it comes around fairly quickly. So they finally make the Costco, which as they're walking towards it, he's like, Costco's right over there.
Costco is huge. Yeah, it's
probably,
gigantic.
It looks like it's 5 miles in the distance, and the Costco building disappears into the horizon. It's literally a city.
They're greeted in the most wonderful way of "Welcome to Costco. I love you."
Yeah, which the guy just keeps saying to everybody.
He had a picture of himself on his apron.
Yes. Anytime I go into a Costco, I say that to the first person I see.
I got to imagine that any Costco employee is tired of hearing that.
I don't care.
That has to be
funny to me.
Well-worn joke.
It's funny to me.
See, if I was going there, I'd say, what aisle can I get my law degree in?
Yeah, that was one of the things. He's like, Joe asked him if he really knows where everything is. He's like, sure, I got my law degree here.
Yeah, I love the difference in the context of the statement. He's like, you got your law degree here? Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. Like it was some high achievement.
Yeah, but my dad's alum, so they're walking. Yeah, they're doing this as they're walking by what almost a square block of just red couches. The exact same weird. Red couch.
That was random.
And then they walk by another crashed jet that's crashed through the ceiling and still sitting there. And then unfortunately, this is where Rita asks if she can use the restroom. So she leaves. Joe accidentally gets scanned.
Before all that, we get to actually see a Starbucks with gentleman's latte.
Yeah, the gentleman's latte is full frontal latte, totally nude latte. And it was all the shops in there were like that. They were all had adult.
There's an H&R Block with the gentleman's rebate. And then I think there was a chicken place. I can't remember what it was though.
And all of them had like the stripper girls hanging out at the front doors, a la red light district.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. So yeah. And this is when they finally get to the train that he's talking about that'll take him to the time machine.
Joe is scanned and arrested again. And while he's arrested at the shuttle, though, if you look in the background, he's wanted for being a dick, for escaping from jail, and for fucking up lots of shit.
And then while he's waiting, like as soon as he gets scanned, Frito freaks out. And he's like, "I'm not getting arrested. I like money." And he jumps on the train to where Joe goes over and stops the door, and he starts saying, "Well, okay, tell Rita to go on and go back in time, or I'll just jump on here and I'll go back in time and tell Rita never to get in the project, and then she'll never have gone here. But wait, she's already here. So does that mean I never went back in time? Or wait, no, I just haven't done it yet." So he gets in this huge paradoxical question. Meanwhile, which gives the police plenty of time to come by and arrest him.
And Frito's just getting a headache. He's super confused and doesn't know what to say.
Yeah. Yeah, he just takes the train. And Rita walks back from the bathroom right as he's being taken away. So she kind of like steps away. Like, okay, I'm not getting caught up in this.
Joe then gets taken, not to jail, but he gets taken to the White House, which looks
like a trailer park front yard. They have an above ground pool with a couple of broke down cars and a swing set in the front lawn.
Yeah, the Rose Garden looked a little different.
Yeah, just a little. And it explained that he was taken there because the president saw his IQ test, and it was the highest one ever recorded.
He meets the current cabinet, which consists of the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Energy,
who won a contest. He was like a 15-year-old kid.
He's a kid.
Contest to be a cabinet member.
Attorney General is there.
Fun bags.
The Secretary of Education seems to be a mentally challenged person.
Yes, but it was President Camacho's stepbrother.
Yeah, I think it was his nephew.
Maybe I can't remember. I have written down stepbrother.
or one of them is the guy that keeps saying brought to you by Carl's Jr. I can't remember what he's
Secretary of State.
Oh, state. Okay.
He's state. He's the state. And they basically wanted to make Joe Secretary of the Interior.
Yeah, they're trying to explain to him. President Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho comes in.
I love that.
It's great.
with a cadre of strippers.
Yeah, he's got a little harem with him.
Which Terry Crews puts in a great performance as President Camacho.
Yeah, he does. He knocks it out of the park. He's fun to watch as President Camacho.
And he just walks in. It's like, so you're smart. I thought your head would be bigger. Look at that little pea head.
The next scene goes to the House of Representatives, and President Camacho.
So many good jokes.
there are.
He gets introduced like it's WWE.
Well, and this is one of those things where the announcer is Mike Judge. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of America.
Camacho.
And he comes in like a WWF style intro. There's fog machine. He's giving the Hulkster type of poses.
And he starts reading from the teleprompter, which looks to be the same technology that we have today. But literally, the first word just comes up on the teleprompter. Shit. I know shit's all fucked up, right?
Yeah, he gives a good little speech there. I know shit's bad. We got no crops. We got the Dust Bowls. But I got a plan. I got a 3-point plan, and it starts with this guy. Not sure.
Yeah. And then he's got some hecklers in the front row. It's like, yeah, that's what you said last time, motherfucker. West Side or some shit like that.
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
So he pulls out a fucking machine gun and starts firing in the air to shut everybody up. I got my 3-point plan to fix everything. We got this guy, not sure. He's got the highest IQ of anyone alive, and he's going to fix everything.
And he starts, and he does it kind of like a preacher. He's going to fix the economy.
He's going to fix all the crime.
And he's going to do it all in 1 week.
Yeah, and he also commits to 1 week.
And I think there was also, from the voiceover, there was acne. He's going to cure acne and something else.
Yeah, from acne to something like that. Athlete's foot or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we get on to the presidential parade. Camacho riding in like a chopper-style trike with Joe on the back. He starts talking about him, and he's like, oh, pass me a beer.
This is where we get a nice conversation, though, between the two. As far as you can see that President Camacho has some intelligence, at least compared to everyone else we've met, which I assume is why he succeeded to the point of presidency after his porn career and wrestling career. But I got to give Camacho credit. He cares about America. He's trying to solve the problems and doing the best he can. And
based on everything, he actually has found the right guy for the job.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean,
and he not only thinks it, but it actually is true. But we don't know at this point, we don't know what the problems are yet, what the main thing of the problem is.
Yeah.
So Joe's freaking out. Like, I don't know how to be the secretary of anything. I don't know how to solve all these problems. So they end up back at the White House with a nice little pre-shot of everybody jet skiing in the reflection pool.
Yeah.
That was a nice little thing.
Yeah, with like a trailer park around the whole mall.
And then they're all sitting around the cabinet table, and the Secretary of Energy is like, do something smart.
Why is the cabinet table through the wall? Why is
apparently they couldn't figure out how to move it.
In the Oval Office, there's a gigantic hole in the wall where the table is halfway through and they don't explain any of it as to why. And there's no reason at all.
And my theory is they couldn't figure out that you could move the table. They just had to keep making the table longer or something. Like, well, the wall's in the way. Well, just move the wall.
So he has the people at the White House bring him Frito.
Yeah.
And so Frito...
So he could try to escape at that point. But,
yeah, he's still trying to escape.
At this point, he's trying to get out of it and get back to the time machine. But Frito starts trying to give him directions. He's like, well, you go around to this way, and then that way. Like, wait a minute, let me start again. You know where the time machine is? It's right over there.
Well, Frito was just like, Everyone gets laid at the White House. Everyone. So Joe has no choice but to play along, and he's okay. Let's go look at the crops. But I think this is where he first says, sometimes you got to lead, follow, or get out of the way.
And they're like, "Whoa, did you just make that up?"
Yes, I did.
So the crops was the first one everybody mentioned. So he's like, "All right, screw it. Let's go look at those crops." So they go out to the fields, and of course, this is the whole Dust Bowl problem, and the entire field is just brown.
I did like that they had the mentally challenged Secretary of Education on the machine gun on the top of the bus.
Yeah. And this is also while he was saying, like, let's go to the crops, but can you go and find Rita?
Mm-hmm.
So he had him go pick up Rita. So while they're out there,
he could utilize her.
Yes, utilize her. Yeah, that's a screenshot for later.
Yeah, so Frito gives him a map while they're out there looking at a field, and the map is
very inconspicuously
drawn like a kindergartner.
Yeah,
time machine.
It just says, "You are here, time machine," and it's got a squiggly little line like Bugs Bunny would draw.
Time machine, MASHEEN.
Machine.
So Joe's frustrated, but then they bring in Rita, who they were able to get out on a work release whoring license because she got arrested for stiffing that guy.
She got arrested.
So him and Rita go down to the tree line, and they talk about making a break for it to the Costco.
Yeah, he has to explain why he has to go with her privately, though. He's like, so we can discuss things, and they're still looking at him. He does the whole finger through the handhole, and they all, oh yeah. And meanwhile, Rita has no idea what's going on. But knowing what her true profession is, she probably isn't fazed by it much. She just looks at him like, what the hell are you getting at, kind of thing. And they start walking back. And this is about the time the watering system comes on, right?
Yep. The irrigation system kicks on.
The irrigation thing comes on, and it's all Brondo. He notices that green stuff. He's like, wait a minute. Why is this Brondo?
The light bulb goes off.
Yeah. And then we get the voiceover again, explaining the whole story of Brondo. So Brondo, which is basically kind of a knockoff Gatorade.
Yeah.
During the budget crisis of 2330, viewed water as a threat to their profit margins. So during that budget crisis, Brondo was able to buy the FCC and the FDA and eliminate water.
Yeah, the montage shows the food triangle.
Yeah, and
eventually Brondo takes up the entire food triangle.
So yeah, which explains all the previous jokes about why people don't understand water.
Yep.
So yeah, the light bulb hits off, and he's like, "Well, I don't know much, but I do know that you have to water crops."
Yeah, they go back to the cabinet meeting again, and he's really struggling to explain to them that water should go on crops, and they keep going in this circular conversation of, but Brondo has what plants crave. Well, what's that?
It's got electrolytes. What is an electrolyte? It's what plants crave.
Plants crave.
But why does it crave that? Because Brondo's got it. Well, I never seen any crops in the toilet, which is technically a logical response to that. It's probably the smartest thing that kid has ever said.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, he gives.
Yeah, he finally gives up.
I can talk to plants.
Tells them. Yeah, he tells them they can talk to plants. So it's this shot of him holding a glass of Brondo and a glass of water, leaning down and listening to the plants, and he holds up the glass of water like, the plants told me they want water. So that's how he convinced them. I totally forgot about that scene.
Yeah. Joe gets to put forth his plan to water the plants, and now they're in a waiting game. And then we have a nice conversation between Joe and Rita in the White House bedroom, which I thought this was a good line from Rita. Do you think Einstein walked around thinking everyone was a bunch of dumb shits?
Yeah.
It's a good line. Yeah, it kind of makes you ponder the question itself.
He's like, I don't know. And then she's also, because he's being so sweet, because she found out that he was the one that got her pardoned and everything. She's like, you don't have to sleep on the floor, because he's in the middle of making a bed on the floor. And at this point, of course, he still thinks that Upgrade is her boyfriend that they're going to go back in time with. He's like, oh, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Upgrade wouldn't like the idea of you having a stranger in your bed. To which she just cracks the fuck up laughing.
Yeah, she just laughs.
Of course, he doesn't understand. I'm wondering. I don't know if she ever told him what she used to do.
I doubt it.
But it never came up in the movie.
He may be smart there, but Joe's still an idiot.
Yeah.
So then the fade into the next morning. A brick comes through the window, and Rita bolts up. Oh shit! It's Upgrade.
It's Upgrade. Oh shit! It's Upgrade. To which there's a huge protest outside.
Yeah, it turns out that damn near everyone is employed by Brondo, and with the water thing, Brondo's stock tanked all the way to zero, and the company itself. So we talked about bots earlier. Otto laid off everybody, so now everyone's out of work.
Which we get a video conference from a nice little cameo by Thomas Hayden Church as the Brondo CEO, explaining everything about how it did the auto layoffs thingy. and now everybody's without a job, and now they're pissed off at Joe.
He gets arrested again. We get the Fox News channel. So the movie takes a dig at Fox News.
Yeah. So run by a bunch of pro wrestlers who, by the way, talk normally during their broadcast. So I'm wondering why they don't get shit for it.
I have that as a note for later in my stray thoughts. Yeah. Well, they're all scantily clad on screen, just so I say it's just kind of a dig at Fox News, especially back then where everyone, had to show leg and stuff. The anchor is Velveeta, and she's got a corset on, and then the other guy is just shirtless.
Yeah, he's got like a little one singlet. And then they toss it out to the reporter in the field out in front of the trial, who also is for the most part talking normally, and then she starts describing the trial. It's like, Joe, first of all, Joe came up and said some bullshit. And then the prosecution was like, hell no. And then the judge's like, you guilty. And we're back. So we don't get to see this trial. We just get the
artist renditions
of them. Renditions of them, which look like crayon paper.
Joe is sentenced to 1 night of rehabilitation.
Which doesn't sound so bad.
He doesn't think it's too bad, yeah. Rita gets to go talk to him in prison, and she's like, why don't you just break out again? It's like, oh, they fixed that problem. They chained me to a big rock. And literally, he's chained to the gigantic rock. But it's a good conversation again. I like their chemistry. They're a good couple there, because he has this character moment where he's kind of given up. He's like, I'm done. Kind of yeah. He says people need to read. They need to learn. They need to get out more and get everything they can out of life, which is everything that he didn't do. He's regretting how he lived his life before. So he has a good character change moment. And then they push the rock down the stairs.
And then, they just push the rock down the stairs, and he just stands there like Bugs Bunny until he's ripped away.
Yeah, that would have ripped his leg off. At least his foot.
And now it's time for Monday Night Rehab, which is in a giant arena, like monster truck style.
Mm-hmm. The announcer is Mike Judge, as we mentioned earlier. They introduce all the combatants, and you've got I didn't get their names, but they come driving in on these gigantic they
call them the
monster trucks.
Dilldozers. Yeah, they call them the dilldozers.
Bit of compensation
giant
there.
Monster truck with big ass dildos. And then Joe's like, I get a car too. I get a truck too, right? He's like, yeah, here it is. And it's like this little broken down Geo Metro with a giant purple dildo duct taped to the hood. It's like just flapping.
They keep trying to shut the door on his chain.
Yeah, the look on his face right there is like, yeah, he gets in. They keep trying to shut the door. And he's like, the chain, guys. And there's like, door won't shut. What do we do? And in the meantime, they're walking, as he's walking around, they've got a forklift with the giant rock following him so he can walk. And they decide to just drop the giant rock.
I love Luke Wilson's facial expressions again. He's reached a point of indifference, just like as they're trying to shut the door. The chain, guys.
It's just literally,
the chain.
Yeah, it's just.
And then when they drop the rock, it's again just a roll of the eyes, like, oh my God, these people.
Hilarious. They drop the rock and crush the back half of the car.
And they also have a third correctional officer in a correctional vehicle, name of Beef Supreme.
Beef Supreme.
Who's coming out of retirement for this. Played by a third Wilson brother. I feel bad I didn't catch his first name, but it's Owen and Luke's brother. But he's funny. I actually always thought it was Stifler. Who's the guy? I always thought it was Stifler. Didn't realize it was another Wilson brother.
Yeah, the name escapes me.
But while all this is going on, you've also got Frito and Rita back at the White House. Frito's packing and Frito's going to take her to the time machine. While Frito's looking out the window, Frito's watching Rehab on the TV.
Oh, I love Monday Night Rehab.
I still chuckle just thinking about it. Rita sees sprouts out in the yard. Yeah. So there's a rose. So there's plants are starting to grow. So she's like, Frito, can you take me over there? He picks her up and carries her to the TV.
She points to the TV. He just picks her up and carries to the TV. He's like, no, you fucking dumbass, the rehab center.
In my rewatches, that might have been my biggest just laugh at the movie because it came out of nowhere and I didn't remember that at all. It was so stupid. It was funny.
So we had Beef Supreme being announced in the giant ass dozer, which is just like a supersized version of the dildozers. And it's, of course, way too big to fit through the door. Like you see the dildo front end come through the door and it slams into the wall. And then he backs up a little bit and tries to run through the door again. And he slams in the wall again and it eventually crumbles and crushes the entire truck. And they're like, oh, maybe it was too big. We seem to be experimenting some terminological differences. So the president just stands up and is like, get on with it. Let's go. So he just starts the thing right then and there.
Then, so there's a kind of a battle royale between Joe and the two dildozers. He pretty much gets them to run into each other and they blow themselves up. While that's happening, Rita and Frito get there because I guess DC is the size of the Eastland Mall. You know, it's all very
all right there. It's not Costco by any means.
So they're trying to convince the president that there's actual crops. So they saw lines of crops starting to grow on their drive in. You got two things happening at once now. You got Rita and Frito trying to convince the president that there's crops. And then you've got Joe, who's now defeated the two guys, but Beef Supreme is still alive.
He's starting to climb out of the rubble.
And they give him a flamethrower.
The president tossed her aside. He's like, I didn't see any crops. She's like, well, shit. And she looks up at the big screen. She looks down at a camera guy. She walks over and is like, how would you like to make some money? And the guy's like, I like money. So instantly, Frito and this camera guy become friends.
I can't believe you like money too. We should hang out.
So she is going to stay at the arena and run the cameras. And she sent those two out over by the Starbucks where they found all the crops. So she runs into the camera studio. She's like, there's this guy sitting there. And she's like, they need you for some difficulties out on the floor. President needed somebody. And he's still sitting there. And he's like, there's a bunch of hookers in the hallway. And he jumps up and runs out. So then she sits there and she's basically watching the individual camera feed, waiting for them to get on site so she can throw it up on the big screen.
I loved the Jumbotron controls in the control room.
Yeah, big four buttons.
Literally 4 screens, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 big red buttons, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, lowest common denominator.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense.
So now you've got Beef Supreme has both a flamethrower and what appears to be like a fireball launcher. So he's chasing him around, and I'll say Beef Supreme was probably the one of the funnier non-main characters in there of just how he's playing to the crowd, and everything. When Joe's hiding, and he does the whole is he over here, and the crowd keeps pointing him. It's like, oh, is he over there? And everybody keeps starts cheering.
Even the announcer cuts in. He's behind the rock, stupid.
And meanwhile, Frito and camera guy get to the field, which is of course next to a Starbucks, And they start to walk over it, and then they turn around and look at the Starbucks. It's half-price gentleman's lattes. And like,
good deal.
That's a good deal.
You can't pass up a good deal.
Yeah, I like me a latte. And they both go in there.
They forget why they're there.
They're both, and Rita's watching this and can hear them, and she's like, "Oh, God damn it!"
Joe gets a hold of the announcer's microphone, and he starts making a very passionate plea. And they show people kind of listening or drinking their big gulps, whatever.
Out. Yeah, even Beef Supreme is like, "Hold on, let him talk," kind of thing.
Rita switches the camera to his close up, and once he's done, it goes nowhere because then it goes over to Beef Supreme, and he gives a little hand gesture.
Yeah, and everybody starts laughing, and then they start to pull the mic away. So Joe jumps and grabs the mic to be hoisted up in the air to where Supreme switches back to the flamethrower and tries barbecuing him. And while that's happening, Frito and camera guy finally come out of the Starbucks.
Yeah, they weren't in there long.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Well, they are gentlemen. Use that information however you will.
I forget what they fought about, but the Frito punches out the camera guy, and the camera lands right next to a plant.
So that's when Rita sees it, switches it to the main screen because they were fighting. It was Frito remembering because there was a sign for Monday Night Rehab on the side of the Starbucks. And he's like, I think I remember why I was here.
He was trying to read the word rehabilitation.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you trying to read that word? The camera guy's
like, why word? What are you, some kind of F word? Not F word. I guess that doesn't help. What are you, some kind of tard or fag or something like that is what he said. Frito punches him, and that lands the camera. And then after a few seconds, Frito finally remembers what he is because he looks over and sees the camera pointing at the flag. He's like, oh. So he goes and grabs the camera and starts running it up and down the field. The correct thing to do. And he finally sits it down, puts his face in it, and he's like pointing at it and gives a thumbs up. And then finally, right before Joe is about to be barbecued by Beef Supreme, and Camacho comes up and just body checks him out of the way and gives him a pardon and holds his hand up like he won.
Deus ex Camacho. So, Joe is pardoned by Camacho, and they have a big White House party. And Rita tells him she's decided to stay in the future. She's actually been given a new job. She's a CEO now of Starbucks.
Starbucks. Ah.
So that
little inside joke
fits
there.
in with her skill set.
And then Camacho has decided to make Joe his vice president so they can help solve all the other issues.
There's some governmental questions there, though. I mean, who was VP before? That's not how it works.
But he starts naming off some of the other issues, like the leaky nuclear reactor in Florida.
I thought it was in Georgia.
Florida's in Georgia, dumbass.
After her learning that there's more problems to solve that he can maybe help with, Joe decides, he says, screw the time machine, I'll stay here. And someone yells, yeah, that ride sucks anyway.
Yeah, that ride sucks anyway.
So we get to see Joe, Frito, and Rita on the actual time machine ride. It's like a Haunted Mansion style.
Yeah, or like It's a Small World
ride,
type thing where they go through the U.S. history of when Charlie Chaplin and his Nazi regime tried to take over the world with dinosaurs until the which of course is the UN.
Until a greater force emerged, and it un-Nazied the world.
I particularly love the dinosaurs.
Yeah, the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs with a swastika and a U.S. flag.
Yeah.
And then we get towards the wrap-up of the movie where Joe is actually elected president, not sure. Names Frito as his VP. Joe gives a good speech about how things could be. Like I mentioned earlier, better movies, better people, better people, but people can learn, people can read.
Yeah, and Rita as the first wife or the first lady. So those two actually do end up together, and they had 3 of the smartest children in the world. Frito with his 2 or 3 girlfriends.
He has 8 wives and 32 dumb children
of the dumbest children on the planet. So maybe he didn't fix everything right away, but still,
it's a good ending. And then there's actually a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Upgrade apparently joined the same army program. He slowly gets out of the pod, full pimp get up,
Full blue velvet suit,
looking good, and he puts on his hat and he starts walking away. He says, "I'm going to find this hoe." I loved this movie.
Oh,
this was great.
Such a great movie.
I want to know more. I wish there was an Idiocracy 2 or just something. Well, I don't know. Maybe there, a comic or something that explained this world. I want to know what happens.
There's got to be a wiki somewhere that somebody's written about what they think all the steps that caused it from 2005 to 2505. That would be a great little read.
Yeah, I want to know more about the President Camacho government. I want to know how the laws work. I want to know this universe, just the current one that Joe falls into, and then also I'd love to see how things are going. 4 years on, 8 years on into his presidency. I just think that's
because there's a lot
they could do with that.
There's a lot of things on there that obviously fixing the crops and killing the Dust Bowl was kind of an easy one with water. But fixing a leaky nuclear reactor is probably a little above Joe's pay grade.
Right.
So I don't know how he's going to work on that one.
I would like to know, how things work in this for technology wise. They got video teleconferencing. They have airplanes. They've got shuttles. They got all these things. These things take maintenance. These things take
big buttons. They're all big. You think it? So my guess is at some point the technology got to a point where it could mostly run itself. Obviously, except for the Roomba in the hospital. But I'm pretty sure the operation is just a bunch of big buttons with pictures. So they tried to make everything so user friendly that people stopped knowing how things actually worked.
Was Frito driving the car like steering wheel, or was it automatic, like auto drive? I don't remember.
I think he was driving.
So he had to pass a driver's license
but
test.
it might have been as simple as press a button to go forward, press a button to go backwards, and turning a wheel.
Yeah, I've listed here like cars, TVs, video conferencing, medical scanners, train shuttles, irrigation systems, correctional vehicles, flamethrowers, video cameras. People got to build these things. How are these things functioning with the people that we saw? I want to know.
Interesting note. Would you like to know more?
But overall, it was a very tight script. I mean, there was really no villain other than the stupidity of the generation.
Stupidity, yes.
That's kind of the villain. An upgrade for comic
relief.
The
villain is evolution.
Yeah.
Fucking Darwin.
Yeah. But there was all kinds of good callbacks, like the lead follow, get out of the way. And all the side characters it was brilliant to put a boring Luke Wilson, who did a good job playing boring, but surround him by these crazy ass characters that were just a ton of fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
We should probably touch on politics just for a moment.
Oh man.
What's prophetic and what's not. If we must, I think that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Camacho, Trump. I'm not even going to go there because I actually liked Camacho as a president. How do I want to put this? He really cared for America. He's unorthodox, but he wanted to fix the country's problems. He truly did. I think if it's anything prophetic in this movie about government, it's the cabinet and the stupidity of the people surrounding. The
fact that you could become a cabinet member by winning a radio contest, or the nepotism of just appointing his stepbrother or nephew or whoever he was. And then, I mean, how do people get medical licenses? What do you have to do to get a medical license in this time? Because
Costco.
Neither of the two doctors we saw.
I assume they all went to Costco. I do have a note here that I'm going to say about the slang talk. It's a bit inconsistent. When you get to the guards, the announcers, and the TV hosts, they still use the words of the slang, but their dialect is professional. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's intentional for their positions, because it's only like those people. I mean, even the cabinet talks like idiots, except for President Camacho as president. But like the guards, they seem to be they've memorized certain words.
Yeah.
They seem more like robotic in it.
And same with the police.
Yeah, the police and the guards. Yeah, same bucket.
And grammar is out the window. The police seem like the whole thing of how they have to say "Okay, sir" at the beginning of every sentence.
Yeah, but the TV announcers, they using the same words as far as like, it was bullshit, but they speak in complete sentences at least. Because the basic population seems to be able to read. So somewhere along the lines, they learn the alphabet and how to read,
or read small words, and then they know corporate logos.
Yeah.
So they obviously know Starbucks, but they don't know rehabilitation.
They could read half off gentlemen's lattes.
But then somebody had to make the sign.
Yeah.
So somebody had to know that that's how rehabilitation was spelled. So
someone had to think, hey, it's time for a half off gentlemen's latte sale, and did some marketing analysis to do that.
Yeah, so there's still a big range of smart and dumb people, even though compared to Joe, they're all dumb.
Yeah.
It's all relative. So obviously the cameraman is dumber than Frito. Frito is dumber than Camacho. Camacho is probably the smartest guy other than Joe.
I almost feel that there is a shadow organization in this world of still smart people that are running it.
This is the new world order. We're all fucked.
I did notice that the American flag only had 25 stars on it.
Oh, good catch. I didn't even see that.
But there's the 11 stripes. So it's your best guess as far as either they don't know how to make flags anymore,
or they combine some states. Obviously not North and South Carolina, because we still have North Carolina.
Or some states seceded. You never know. It's 500 years. Who knows? But 25 stars. That's a big dip.
That is a big dip.
A good double feature is to watch this movie and then Wall-E.
Yes.
My last little bit here was the Surgeon General's warning on the Tarleton's billboard. Warning, the Surgeon General has one lung and a voice box, but he could still kick your sorry ass.
I still like that, Tarleton's. If you don't smoke Tarleton's, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how the actual companies, the real companies like Fuddruckers, Carl's Jr.
But what I was reading is that that was the reason why this got pushed through and kind of hidden from distribution. So by contractual deals, it had to get a theatrical release, but it was only like 6 weeks or less. It was in a very select few theaters, so they could meet their contractual obligations. And then they pulled it, and then it was buried. So for a while there, only the hardcore Mike Judge fans really got to see it, because this was never in theaters. So.
Yeah, this was never put on TV. I'm fairly certain.
No.
It may have eventually made it to something like HBO years and years later, but not an initial release.
There could be a lot of people out there that still haven't seen it.
Yeah, I would be interested to see reactions from the heads of those companies, though, and see what they thought about it.
Especially Fuddruckers.
Because officially, I'm sure they can't say they thought it was hilarious. Yeah, especially Fuddruckers.
Fuddruckers and Carl's Jr.
Or Starbucks. Or Starbucks.
They had to have a lot of fun making this movie.
I was having way too much fun watching this movie and writing on my notes. I didn't even bother at going with tropes. So there's obviously some tropes in there, but I didn't find anything that stood out as being too tropey or too obvious. I think this was just very well written from just a story point of view.
The none that are not like outside of the narrative. I mean, like the product placement and the bad future for America. That's the point of the story. So you can't really call those tropes.
So I mean, as far as how this movie holds up today, personally, I mean, I haven't watched it in years. I've seen it so many times, but I haven't watched it in years just because I had seen it so many times, and I could, for the most part, play the movie in my head. This is one of those where I just know almost everything. I remembered everything. So I would flat out say, absolutely, it holds up to this day.
I agree. And it was smart to put it 500 years in the future.
Yeah.
Not like, it's like Back to the Future 2 took place in what,
2015? Yeah. It led to a bunch of funny jokes on the internet about, you have 1 year to make a hoverboard. Let's get cracking, science. But I would be interested. I would love to find out if people are watch this 500 years in the future and see what they see about it, see what they think about it.
I do think it's absolutely, relatable and holds up well over, 10 years old and stuff. It's just a matter of your sense of humor, really.
Yeah.
If you're not into this level of humor, like a Wet Hot American Summer or Office Space, then it won't hold up to you. If you're not going to laugh at these jokes, then it doesn't hold up.
Then that's on you.
Yeah.
It definitely had some political correctness issues, but every single one of them was part of the story.
Part of the joke. Yeah.
Yes.
I would actually put this one up with Blazing Saddles. I will.
Agree.
It's
where it's part of the joke.
Yeah. All of that political incorrectness, that's the point. And if you don't have the sense of humor to laugh at it, sorry for your luck.
Then the movie's not for you. Yeah. I would love to see this movie from the point of just Frito.
I put the same. Yeah.
It was either from Frito or literally like a West Wing style with President Camacho learning about this smartest man in the world and going out and trying to find him and learning that he was arrested for fucking up a bunch of shit.
I think that Frito's journey through this would be fascinating to watch and see, just as far as his confusion and everything that happens from that. But I would also like to see Idiocracy 2, Upgrade's journey. I want to see what happens to Upgrade.
The rise of Upgrade.
Like if he just walks down the street and he sees a picture of the new president
First
and his
lady.
First lady, that's
and he's like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Bitch better have my money.
As far as a different version, lighter, darker, whatever, I put darker. I could definitely see this movie as a dark and serious journey with serious actors. It wouldn't be as good, but it'd be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I was leaning on that, or like a musical version of it, but I don't know if anybody can sing in this time frame. So
I don't want to hear any songs in that hillbilly slang. But I don't see the stupidity coming across in the darker version. They because it's a comedy, they can go way far into how dumb the language is. And they would have to kind of raise their intelligence level a little bit for speaking if it was a darker version. It would definitely not be as good without the comedy aspects.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is probably not going to be appropriate for your kids.
No.
At least not for another 15 years.
This had to be watched in secret. I had to steal away for a bit. But it's a quick movie, good crisp 90 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So for the Cinema Decon Hall of Fame, I want to go first on nomination this time. All right, because I'm going a little unorthodox. For the Hall of Fame, you nominate anybody that is involved in the movie, actor, actress, director, writer, whatever. And I am going to nominate Mike Judge.
Oh, yeah. Writer,
director. I mean, I love all the character actors in this movie. They all did great. But I think that Mike Judge just kind of put it all out there. It was a movie that kind of like Blazing Saddles. People could say, this couldn't be made today. This movie barely got made and barely got distributed. But yet Mike Judge was able to put forth a hilarious movie with so many smart elements in there. And because it was kind of like an untouchable sort of thing from the studios, I think he was able to do it fairly his own creation, not a lot of interference. And it comes across, and big fan of Mike Judge overall. That's my pick.
Yeah. So I was leaning towards Dax Shepard for his portrayal in there, but now that you've said Mike Judge, I will absolutely agree with that. He essentially put this whole thing together, and it wouldn't have been anything without him. So I am absolutely on board with that.
Congratulations to Mike Judge, writer and director of Idiocracy, and the newest inductee into the Cinema Decon Hall of Fame.
Okay, now's the time on our show where we rank the movie based on our fan review, while also adding in the IMDb rating. This is a 10-point scale, and the average will put the movie on our mega list. So for me, I'm just going to flat out say this is one of the funniest and scariest movies I have ever seen. It will always be probably my top 10 comedies of all time. I'm going big on this. I'm giving it an 8.5.
Well earned, well earned. I'm also a big fan of this movie, and it was hilarious. I would watch it again right now, and I encourage everyone out there to watch it. And my rank is an 8.4.
Ah, great minds. We combine that with the wonderful IMDb rating, which was not as hopeful, and they gave that a 6.6.
Oh, man, IMDb, why you got to do that?
Bunch of haters.
It is, man. By our scores combined, comes out to a 7.83. Wow. This ties the Three Amigos for the number one spot.
Yeah. That's good. That's good for me. I assumed the IMDb rating was going to be higher, so it's all their fault. But you're right. It literally ties it.
I gave Three Amigos 8.5, and so did you. But I gave this one 8.4. So just if I had to choose between the two, I would pick Three Amigos. And IMDb gave Three Amigos 6.5, whereas it gave
this one.
So just a little bit of offset.
So yeah, interesting how the math worked out.
So we have a two-way tie for number one right now. All right. So for media pitch right now, Aaron, what are you watching, listening, reading, whatever these days? What you got for us?
A bunch of my friends had been talking to me about this show, this Canadian show, for a while, and it had been on my list to start watching. I just never got around to it. And most of this was coming from my hockey buddies when I'm playing. But the show is called Letterkenny on Hulu. It is basically about different groups of people up in Canada. You've got the Hicks, the hockey players, the Skids, which are like the drug dealer emo types, the native folk, and it basically is just random shit that happens in this small Canadian town. It is freaking hilarious. It's great, like fast-paced comedy. I will say a lot of the comedy is centered around the hockey player aspect of it. So there's a lot of like hockey slang, hockey lingo in it. But I think it's still funny. It's just one of the hilarious ones. I actually right before this podcast, I went in and watched a couple episodes of it. And I know they're on Hulu right now, at least the newer ones that got picked up on Hulu. I don't know if Hulu has all the old episodes, but they're on like 7 or 8 seasons, I believe. I think I'm on season 7 right now. They're nice little short 6 or 7 episode seasons, but I would recommend it. It's just a really funny show.
I'll have to check that out. I think I've heard Letterkenny as far as somewhere, but I didn't have a clue what it was about.
And the other one that always came up was Trailer Park Boys, and I haven't had a chance to watch that yet. But they're both Canadian shows, and to my understanding, they're both fairly similar as far as comedy type. So I have a feeling I'm going to like that one too.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, Letterkenny is just great.
So my media pitch for this episode is another podcast. I've been diving deep into this one lately. It's called Infamous America from Black Barrel Media. It is a historical true crime podcast with stories of the wildest and darkest chapters of America's past. Mm-hmm. And so far, I burned through these seasons very quickly. Season 1 was the Salem witch trials. Then they had a season on Billy the Kid, the 1918 Chicago Black Sox, 8 Men Out, Lizzie Borden, the Hatfield McCoys, Alcatraz, and I'm currently on the season where they go through the Lufthansa heist from Goodfellas. Yeah. They do a lot of research, and I mean, I trust the speaker as far as the authenticity and accuracy of what they're saying. I've learned a ton about because most of what I know of all that stuff I've learned from movies or maybe a book here and there. But there's just so much extra. Learned a lot. So I encourage everyone to check out the Infamous America podcast, available pretty much anywhere.
Well, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, great shows. And I will give a shout out to another fellow podcast called Field of Screens, which does sports movies. Been chatting with them quite a bit. They did a Tin Cup episode right when we did.
Huh.
So I listen to theirs. They listen to ours, and I've been chatting with them on the side as far as what we agreed on and stuff. So it was a good episode. They've got quite a different format. Great show. I'm going to go back and listen to several of theirs of movies that we're not going to do, because I don't like to listen to a movie that we are going to do. I don't want to spoil what's in my head. I like to go in fresh. Good show. Good couple of guys. And they are also on that list for the top 60 Podchaser ones for September.
Nice. Now it's time for us to spin that wheel and see what we're doing next.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. $126.
Ooh, we got a low one.
Ooh, a drama finally.
Good
Night and Good Luck. Have you seen it?
No, I have not seen this one.
This is an excellent movie.
I've known about it. It's just one of those I haven't seen.
I have seen it once, and we will talk about that in our pre-watch. But this is going to be a bit of a change for us away from the comedy.
All right,
it's a serious one.
I'm sure we can find some hilarious moments about it. See how well that comment stands up over time.
Well, it's easy to make fun of Clooney. I mean, he's such a terrible actor, you know. Just for anyone that hasn't watched it or wants to know, that Good Night and Good Luck is about the broadcast network journalism decisions during the McCarthyism era, the 60s.
Oh, that's a good one.
50s, sorry, of the 50s. So really, really, really interesting.
Yeah, I love that. I love reading and watching about that era. I've seen a couple of movies about that. I just haven't seen this particular one.
Yeah, I think you're going to like this one. Written by Clooney, too, I think. I don't know who directed it. Maybe him. I don't know.
Well, that's all for this episode. Thank you for listening, and we hope you stay with us through this little experiment. What did you think of Idiocracy? Let us know through our socials, and we'll be sure to tell you how wrong you are.
Please don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Check out our website in the show notes to see the full list of movies we'll be covering and our rankings thus far. You can also visit us on our Patreon, where we'll try to post some random outtakes before the final cut.
We'll see you next time on Cinema Decon. Us run long? No.
A podcast from the Sidereal Media Group.